very, let's say, a painful issue. And it is painful also because it is still possible to understand the actions of the Russians towards the military. Although the old Russian school always said that they must preserve the honor of war. And at least the Tsarist armies I know were killed for this, for mocking and, God forbid, killing a prisoner there. If you did not allow a prisoner to step, that was honor. That's the essence. Therefore, during the First World War, if you know, with prisoners, I must say the war was bloody. Prisoners were treated very humanely. They were cared for by the Red Cross. They even traveled to those places and returned. Today, it's already, he says, it's like that. That's what sets us apart from our enemies. They have become completely savage. I don't want to tell you, yesterday I had a conversation with a brigade staff chief. He just arrived from Teptokrovsk. The situation is full well, we see now, very, very complicated. But still, from a human perspective, it's understandable that the military should not proceed. He fought, he was armed, he knows what he is suffering for. But the civilians, a lot of them, we are currently in Britain dealing with women. What are they suffering for? It's just, well, imagining this is just difficult. I probably haven't yet stated that, unfortunately, such things have been created by this. In a good way, by the democratic society, these international institutions have been built. We could theoretically, and we tried to file a case against Russia in the International Court for violating the Convention on the Treatment of Civilian Goods, but immediately received recommendations from the International Criminal Court that Russia is not currently also will file. And this will be a process for you that will not bring you any. We have arisen. We came up with the idea to involve a third party, for example, the UK, to assist, again, through the Ministry of National Criminal Affairs, in order to turn their attention back to these issues and start addressing them. Well, as of today, I am addressing this issue honestly, and many parents are coming to me. We are dealing with this because we are involved with children. But beyond that, even just to collect the money so that the flights are taken care of because, well, the situation is such. For example, there is a well-known branch of Navalny, Yulia, you see, yes, 20-year-olds, yes, together with their parents, yes, well, it's just, yes, not being military transport, yes, nothing. They are not working as of today, no. Another, let's say, leader, as you know, to suppress with force, well, they reached a dead end. It doesn't work 100%. Even these private channels, through the Savodovskaya area, through Frentsiv, through Katyriv, they were not used because they quickly sorted out all the matters there. Almost all of them are deservedly, therefore, how terrorism is resolved by terrorism there, without any legal backing, without anything. And so, well, we will hope. At least the more you are told this, the more probably we have more.
I think we have time. 2 more questions are recognized. Please, raise your hands.
Andrei Zelensky, Executive Director of the Center for Directors of OKU. Mr. Valerii, I have a question. Can we, as educators, be specifically useful to you and people like you who are engaged in service for our country? Thank you. In fact, to serve the homeland, the field is quite vast indeed. Britain itself, in my opinion, currently appears to be an absolutely favorable environment for us to truly become strategic partners. For this, we still need to work a lot, very much so. I would like to remind you that with Britain, we have signed a strategic agreement. Of course, it is more, perhaps declarative in nature, in fact, or in essence, but still, It opens up enormous opportunities. Once again, I remind you, Britain supports Ukraine. When I say Britain, I am not referring to a specific government. Although, by the way, it is the only country of such scale in the world where we enjoy absolute support. I mean, both the opposition government and the current government. This is a unique situation. All these directions that exist there, which we are trying to promote, need to be expanded. I already told your colleagues at the directors' meeting that, in my personal opinion, the easiest area where we can enter and establish ourselves is education. It's education. And if, for example, it is very difficult for us, perhaps in the end, to quickly arrange for some of our students to study there, or for an exchange of students there, then starting with Ukrainian schools in the British format is not beyond our reach. I have already told you, dear stakeholders, that we need to take a closer look at this matrix. On the other hand, the one we tried to extend, that this idea of going, a flag is hanging, a trident, Ukrainian bells, the Ukrainian anthem is sung, and so on. It is unpleasant for the British. The British, Indian school, German school, French school, it's a regular school within the program of Great Britain. But where the language, culture, and history of a particular country are studied. For instance, we immediately know that there are 4 Russian schools in London, and across Britain, there are more than a dozen. In every major city, there's a Russian school of exactly this format. This doesn't mean that they are preparing formal squads, etc. No. This is where they teach Russian culture, Russian language, Russian history. We need to immediately start and initiate this work so that we can establish this school, at least in London. We have the right to do this. Absolutely. The second issue is more specific, but perhaps we can only resolve it through, I will speak about our Union of Ukrainians in Britain and the archive under the library that exists there today. I am told that it needs to be saved, first and foremost, and centralized. There is a lot of work to be done there, and unfortunately, even 3 people cannot handle it. Because it has already desperately asked me to transfer all the materials to the Vernadsky library, which I am told is not possible today. The right decision is absolutely not the right decision, and this commission can help with this, because we have initiated all the work there. Well, and we will continue to fight for you. By the way, I want to say something. Returning to the students, they are the most active Ukrainian community. These are our students. I don't know who politicized them. I'm telling you seriously. A terrible avialization of its hierarchy and its electoral law, and it is the union of Ukrainian students. It's just terrible. By the way, they are already working in companies like Google, Apple today. They support each other and pull up the provision for students, and so on, very actively. We often use it not to block the Russian embassy because, for example, recently we prevented a visit by the Russian delegation, Oxford. Oxford is absolutely our, thank you, sphere. Cambridge. We have already proven not only what the rector said, we spend a lot of time on Ukrainian children to look at Palestine and hear ourselves. Yes, by the way, I twice summoned this ranking prorector to myself and had a conversation. I did. Well, there, the scope of work is very, very large. That is, I saw that we will definitely understand what this probably helps with.
And the last question. Unfortunately, our time is limited, but I saw that a hand was raised.
Thank you. My name is Yuri. We are trying to ensure a permanent return in such a time in the Ostro region. My question is, for such football players,
we are engaged, experimenting.
We talk a lot and we agree that Western politicians, Western leaders do not want to commit much to defense. They do not really understand the need for it. And here, reaching a consensus is a problem. We need to work on it. But of course, this is not our problem. The problem lies in the fact that The social contract that was formed in the United States means that Europe lives in a paradigm of social welfare. Accordingly, there is no place for war, for arms, because it's the end of history. So the question for you is how to change this social contract, because politics will change after it, and how to convey to Western societies that Russian imperialism, it's not a cold that quickly passes, but a deadly virus that rapidly spreads.
The answers to these questions, in fact, have already been given to us by history. It was not so long ago. The entire world, of course, was destroyed by the First World War and drowned in the First World War. They watched the icons, which prevented even the activation of that left nation that was formed, which simply agreed in an intensified manner. Nothing helped. German bombs and Churchill helped. I constantly, wherever I try to meet with them, I always mention this example. What's new? Otherwise, it won't be. Missiles that fall in Poland, missiles that fall in Romania. Well, sooner or later, they will start killing more people, besides those who are currently affected by them. And we also have no right to be offended by them, right? Indeed, they lived quite a long time in Kyiv, in an era of such sweet liberalism, which allowed them to live comfortably, and even at American expense, yes, and with American security. Here, I completely agree with Trump, and why not? Why not? But it seems to me this state of liberalism is gradually passing. Let's hope that our diplomats there will be more active. They will do more to turn their center around, to get them out of this state. Will it be too late to get them out of this state with Russian missiles? And then it will already be too late. Urgent for that. Yes, well, society is turning. So our work, our constant effort, there's nothing more we can do. We would show our mountains. Our delays are located there. They would swallow it. He decided that now let's multiply by 2. Patiana is not Patiana, so what will you do there? There are separate pairs that are already forming. For me, for example, at most, with all the shortcomings. I like Poland's approach, in the current situation, to its own security. The approach of the Baltic countries is absolutely rational, well constructed. A lot will depend on Germany, which still plays the main role. But it's an era of uncertainty. In each of these countries, there are real elections where Russian influences inevitably lose, which will definitely be twisted. Everything is on the national field. Even Britain still remains a rock that holds on. But they have always looked to the older brother across the ocean. The older brother is not sending a very good signal, as I feel. Our job, I repeat, is nothing more.
General, most often in the registration form, people wrote that they want to thank you for your service, for your dedication, for the work you have done, side by side with everyone, in defense of our country and for the work you are doing now. Thank you.